Happy Monday, Broncos country. I'm Bree Maestas here with Zach Seegers and Joey Richards. This is Let's Talk Broncos. Guys, how are you?
I'm doing really good. It was a long day for Joey today, but we're here talking Broncos, and then I want this coaching search to end. I feel like I'm like a couple days away from just saying, throw it on LinkedIn, guys. I'm done. I'm done with the coaching search. Let's just get this over with. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm happy to sit here and talk Broncos with you guys. Zach, how are you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. Had some exciting professional news today, which I know we'll get into later on. Kind of having fun celebrating that. About to go get dinner here in a bit. And then, just kind of sifting through all this Broncos chaos. It's fun. Chaotic times in the football world in Colorado.
Most definitely.
Absolutely chaotic times. I survived the weekend, thank goodness. Still running off the endorphins from Friday. What a time that was. If you missed it, go over to my socials listed right here, Bree Maces 303, and check it out. I was over on Broncos Country tonight. Had a ton of fun, but we got to get into it, guys, because I don't know. The ins and outs of today have been kind of absurd. You've got yes on D'Amico Ryans formally turning down the Broncos. Then you have a no formal has been given. So what I'm asking to both of you is, where do you stand currently with the information that you have, and how do you feel about the current Broncos head coaching search? Because right now, I don't think we can really suss out, other than there's been no formal turndowns of the Denver Broncos offer. So far, I think we can pretty much say that D'Amico Ryans is going to Houston. But as we all know, the infamous saying, the ink isn't dry. So talk to me a little bit about it, because could it be Jim Harbaugh? Could it be a mystery candidate? Because we had a lot of those thrown around this weekend as well. I'm going to throw it over to Joey. Joey, what's going on through your head right this second?
I feel like all of Twitter and online is on a hunt for Bigfoot right now. The Broncos won't have a head coach until proven otherwise. That's where I'm currently seeing. If you follow the coaching dots and the reports coming out, none of the candidates that they interviewed are likely anymore. They also will not be extending the search, according to Mike Liz. Like, I don't understand what's going on. It's impossible to follow. I have no clue. I'm still hoping for the big swing. Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee show today and was like, I'm still expecting the Broncos to make a big swing. So that's what I'm hoping for. But what I expect, anyone that has an idea, it's an out there theory at this point. We know nothing. It just is like, who you believe more. That's what it's coming down to. None of this makes sense. Nothing's adding up. No one's saying the same thing. Nothing makes sense.
Toey, thankfully, it's the same for all of the other programs as well. As we thought Vic Fangio was an absolute lock for going to Miami. Turns out he's told two separate people that nothing is set in stone yet. So we're all across the board. Zach's giving us a little smirk. Zach, how are you feeling about the current state of affairs today in Broncos country?
Glad it's less my problem now. This is crazy. I've never seen a coaching search go like this. And I was talking about it with Bree on Radio earlier today. Make sure you're checking out Bree on Radio every Monday from 1 to 2 on milehighsports.com. But just how it's a cluster. It's a clusterfuck. And let's just own that, and also own the fact that that doesn't mean they're going to make the wrong hire. Like the Colts situation was a total disaster. And I think it ultimately wound up with them making the right hire. The Texans were in a disastrous coaching predicament for a couple years. And now somehow D'Amico Ryans is choosing them over the Denver Broncos. Like, things can change. It can all be okay. But living in denial, saying like, oh no, this is totally normal. This is how coaching searches operate. This is how all the owners conduct their business, serves no one. This is a little concerning.
I just want to let everyone know what Zach Seegers just basically told us. Per sources, LTB is now the less favorite child.
I didn't say it was,
you literally said, which is less of my problem now. Hands in the air.
Because I took one big hunk of Broncos in my brain and swapped it out. The LTB chunk's still there. It's no shunning of LTB. It's the articles.
Better not be.
Going into this weekend, the idea that a Jim Harbaugh could come through the doors at any minute and rescue all of Broncos country from this godforsaken head coach search was dismantled today, as nobody knows anything. There's a war raging here in Broncos country as we try to suss out who knows and who can say, because a lot of the times those things are different. Joey.
Yeah, it definitely. I think you nailed that, Brie. Yeah, like we don't. I have no idea. Like I assume that a lot of this is like since the Broncos are trying to take a big swing, Brie. I imagine it. A lot of the conflicting reports being because these coaches have such good connections with media, going back and forth with the big swing. Like that's kind of what I assume there. I don't think the Broncos are like leaking anything really. Like, when's the last time? I remember almost after every year, and we've sat through many of coaching differences, right? Like, we have to go through many coaching hires. Usually we get some sort of idea on even how an interview went. Have you guys heard anything on how any interview went afterwards? I haven't. Like,
I think
it's kind of crazy. It's
with the
nuts, and
exception,
it just kind of shows like we're being presented what we're supposed to, and I think it's coming from either the team or coach, and then those things are going to conflict. Because they both have different agendas to push. So I don't know. It's really hard to follow. It's really, really hard to follow.
yeah, I think it's the way it's. I think they want it to be kind of to that point. They want us to not have a clear idea what's going on. And I think ownership has probably agreed, like, we just won't leak anything. And if ownership's not leaking anything, you're not going to get reliable information because, as the Broncos have made clear, it is ownership making this decision, not George Payton, not anyone else. Ownership has taken the reins on this one. And if ownership doesn't want to leak to Mike Kliss or Adam Schefter or whoever, because they've only been around for a few months and haven't built up those relationships with Kliss and Schefter and whoever, it's just not going to come out. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I think it's not coming out. And so you just have a bunch of insiders doing their best work. And I don't want to say guessing, because I do think they're sourcing everything, but I think they're hearing it from people who are guessing, or they're hearing it from someone who's hearing it from someone who's guessing. The only people who ultimately know is Broncos ownership, and I don't think they're telling a soul. So I think everything we're hearing right now is, who knows? And to this point, guess what I heard today from a source? Rob Walton was out of town last week. So all that stuff we talked about, and you guys made fun of me? Oh, I don't know, maybe.
Okay, well, maybe.
I didn't make
that
fun
no one
of
knows.
anybody. Yeah, literally, you just said, so your sourcing is any better than anyone else's because you got told that
the
we were at it?
point. I think
Well, you just tried to like dunk on
going
us
back
for
to
no
last
reason.
week when you guys were pushing back on that, I think you thought,
That's
well,
our
why
job.
is nothing?
Is to
Can
push back.
let me finish the sentence. When you guys were pushing back on what I was saying, I think you were going, oh, well, Zach's saying all the reporting isn't trustworthy, but the one report that he was hunting is. No. I was saying all of it wasn't trustworthy, including the reports that said he wasn't hunting. I don't necessarily trust the report. One second. I don't necessarily trust the report that he was hunting. I just don't trust the report that says he wasn't, because it's in the Broncos' best interest to shoot that claim down. And it's just the point of even bringing that up is it's just another instance of a situation where there's tons of conflicting reports around it with Broncos ownership. I don't think anyone knows what is going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like with that statement, I definitely agree. Now, Zach, I do have to call you out a little bit because the way I interpret it, and maybe I have to go back, watch the film, but the way I interpreted it was that you definitely think that was something that happened.
No. I just don't trust the Broncos' strong denial of it because it's in Broncos PR's best interest to deny it.
It was also in Sean Payton's best interest to say that.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna move
totally.
on. Or, no,
I'm with
I'm
you.
gonna move.
Bullshit.
I'm going to move on. Juan Espinoza brings up Gannon staying with the Eagles, which I wanted to point out with Jonathan Gannon going to the Super Bowl. That falls in line with the conversation on whether or not the Broncos waited too long for this candidate search. If not, this could fall right in line with waiting just 2 more weeks to get their guys. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about Gannon, because I'm a fan. I think there's a connection there. I think because he's interviewed in the past, they held off maybe just a little bit. That was Peyton's guy. Talk to me a little bit about Jonathan Gannon. I think he's done a tremendous job with Philly's defense. I'm going to throw it over to Zach. How do you feel about this?
I'd like it. I think it'd be a good hire, and I'll eat all the crow on this because I was strongly anti-Jonathan Gannon last cycle. Last cycle, it felt like, hey, we all like Brandon Staley so much, and this guy's his friend. Like, it just felt so like, why are we the defense deproved under his watch or regressed under his watch? You had leaders of the defense like Fletcher Cox speaking out against him and like causing locker room problems. It's not free. Like this year, the Broncos offense horribly run. We'd all agree that with that. At no point were players coming out and saying, I don't like how Nathaniel Hackett's running the offense. He doesn't know what he's doing. Right? At no point that happened. That is something that was happening under Jonathan Gannon's watch, his first season as D coordinator with the Eagles. So I thought, whoa, elevating this guy to head coach seems way too fast. I was opposed. Now I'm for it. Now he's got the pelts on the wall. You look at what he's done with that Eagles defense this year. You look at the buy-in he's had from the players across the system. And I've talked about it a lot in regard to Shane Steichen. I would want to steal from what's going on in Philly right now from like a brain standpoint. I think how creative they are with their solving of problems, but also just simple. Like it's just creative simplicity. It's just like, oh, the Niners cornerbacks are bad. Let's attack that. Like, but we'll do it in a bunch of creative ways, but they're not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. It's what's the easy solution? Okay, let's pound that until they prove they can stop it. And then we'll move on to the second easiest solution. And we'll pound that until they prove they can stop that and the first one at the same time. And then we'll go on to number 3. And it's this brute creativity that I just love with that whole coaching staff. And you look at Jonathan Gannon's ties to Brandon Staley, to that Fangio defensive tree that's sweeping the league right now. And unlike Fangio, he maybe has some of the more player-friendly elements we've talked about with D'Amico. Of the supposed mystery candidates, man, he might be my favorite. Him and Kafka are right there neck and neck.
For me, so Bree, to your initial question that you were asking there, is if it's too late, the answer undoubtedly is yes. It's like the Broncos screwed that up, not interviewing him earlier. Like 1,000,000%. If they do go back and start interviewing more candidates, that is an admission of we screwed up. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is something that happened because this whole process could have been over. They could have had a leg up in hiring a staff when a lot of these guys are going to get hired, especially after a Super Bowl. Broncos now have to wait until after a Super Bowl really to hire him, right? Am I understanding that correctly?
No, you're dead on. And
yeah.
Like with McDaniels leaving Indy was a L for the Colts, even if they ultimately ended up with the right head coach, Frank Reich. I think just kind of to your point.
Right, exactly. So like I just it's an admission of we screwed up the initial thing, especially going so hard on we're only interviewing guys that have former experience with the exception of D'Amico Ryans was their philosophy there. And if they were to go back, that would be saying something. Now, would I like if they interviewed him? Yes, I think that it's okay to admit in this circumstance that we screwed up and we'd like to interview these guys now. That's something that I would like to see in the current situation of what we know. If it is all the top candidates are out of it, D'Amico Ryans, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton look unlikely, yes, go back and interview them. It's better to do that than double down on a mistake and hire a guy you really don't like. So I would definitely be in on going back through and interviewing more candidates.
Yeah, I was thinking from the get-go they should probably reshuffle, reassess as information began to leak from all different parties that negotiations weren't going as planned. But I think it's testament to the first time ownership group's first coaching hiring cycle
Totally.
that they maybe don't have the strongest grasp on what it takes to get your candidate, line them all up, and hammer it home. It is not as easy as just offering a contract to the guy you have at the top of your list. Juan Espinosa also asked, do you believe we have a coach by the end of the week? No, Juan, I don't. I think that a couple more dominoes, a couple more snowballs will begin to roll down the hill, and we'll get some answers here in the next couple of days, I would say by Wednesday. But I do not anticipate the Broncos making a head coaching decision anytime soon, not this week. That's my take on that. Joey, how about you?
So yes, I think that there's like I said, because I have no idea. I really have no idea. Now, usually there are second interviews. The Broncos may just say, "Screw second interviews. We're hiring a guy." Like,
I mean, what's a
have no
second
idea.
interview though? You're just taking them into the facility and walking them around and introducing them. So
Yes, exactly. But it could really just it could happen this week. I really have no clue. From the outside's perspective, it looks like no, they won't. But just looking more into it and seeing like, hey, all these reports are conflicting. Nothing's making sense. Ugh. Being that they don't have second interviews at this point, the fan in me wants to believe that they do have somebody in mind that they're going after. That's kind of what I want to think. So I'm not fully confident that they won't, but I'm not fully confident they will. Like I said earlier in this, it's confusing. Like, as much as I'd like to give you a straight answer there, I don't think I can.
Yeah, it's scary. Uh, I'd say probably not. Like, I bet on the continued chaos of this situation over a quick remedy. I guess that seems a little more likely to me. Um, but it's just tough. I think you look at the situation, and yes, it's ownership's first foray into this, but I think it shows, and it's understandable, but it shows a lack of grasp on the NFL world, or a lack of a grip on the NFL sporting world. And I do think that's a little concerning, because who is providing the organizational direction inside the Broncos right now? What's their guiding compass? What's their North Star? If you look at what I think are like the key load bearing pillars of an NFL franchise, like ownership, right now it's a big question mark. They got money, but everything else about them, like decision making, is a question mark and is going the wrong direction. George Payton, 12 months ago, you thought you had this elite superstar, great GM. Now I've heard he's not allowed to negotiate contracts anymore because that's ownership's opinion of him. You can say he's respected inside the NFL. Owners are inside the NFL and they're not allowing him to be part of second interviews, which again, maybe that's not even a thing because they won't do second interviews, but they're explicitly reporting and leaking the fact that he will be excluded from those interviews, which in and of itself is telling whether or not those interviews happen. Almost more so if they don't. What's the point of leaking that if you're not even planning on having second interviews, just to throw him under the bus? Very odd. Yeah, I don't think it's George Payton's the guiding compass of this organization. You don't have a head coach in place, so it's not that. You don't have an offensive play caller in place, so it's not that. And you don't have a quarterback that looks like a long-term answer right now. So it's just tough. These, what I consider the load-bearing pillars of a NFL franchise, big question marks for the Broncos across the board. And I think that's the reason they're in the position they find themselves in now.
I would be willing to admit that I think, and regardless of whether or not we agree on this, is that they will lean on Peyton a little bit more this go around, considering it didn't go well without him. If you don't have experience in this realm, I think that yes, wanting to take it on your own, wanting to deviate from what didn't work last cycle, but knowing that somebody like George Payton has the experience to be able to help in some form, some capacity, maybe not making the decisions, maybe not bringing in just the only candidates he wants to interview. But I think having the experience in the hiring process should actually be taken a little bit more seriously. Ray Haas over on YouTube, and you can rebut to that if you would like in just a second. It is guessing if they would hire the guy, and I didn't work out next year we would be talking about how the process was rushed. I have no problem with them taking your time. I just want to say thank you to Ray Haas. And if you'd like to get your questions or comments highlighted, please jump on over to the YouTube or the Facebook stream and comment over there. I'll get to them if I can get to them.
I think there's taking time, and that is a value. Like, that is good. Taking time, being measured in your decision making. Like, these are virtues. Being late for your bus, so you have to wait for the next bus, and as a result wind up being 15 minutes late and like taking more time on your commute into work. That's not a product of being more thoughtful or being more careful. That's a product of you made a mistake, and as a result were forced to wait some time before you could remedy it. And I think that more closely parallels this. Like, it's not like they're going, hey guys, let's pump the brakes on this coaching thing. Really want to make sure we have all our I's dotted and all our T's crossed here. Don't want to rush anything. Don't want another Nathaniel Hackett. No, just the candidates they've wanted aren't interested in them. And now they're going, humana, who's our head coach going to be now? And so I don't think framing it as like especially thoughtful is accurate.
I'm curious as to why the Broncos, because you said that you mentioned the part where it's like they didn't land their first candidate. So that kind of leads me to this point right here. I'm curious as to why that would even leak. Everything we just went through this whole thing about how the Broncos have been playing this so, tied to the hip that no one knows what they're talking about. No, like it is very top secret what's going on. It's so curious as to why it would even get out there, or why the Broncos would leak to media that DeMeco Ryans is the first candidate, unless they absolutely thought that he was the guy, and that he thought that he was going to be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. Like, they knew that the Texans were also interested. Everybody knew that. I knew that the Texans were also interested. So it's curious as to me why like that would even come out. Because right now that's what's making them look nuts. If that never came out, the Broncos would look a little better. It makes them look nuts that they missed out on him, to a team that just fired 2 back-to-back head coaches year one. That's the team they just lost out to. I don't know, and maybe it is just the ownership being rookies into this. That's kind of my thinking, but I don't know. It's very, very confusing.
If Sorry.
Go ahead.
If Jerry Rosburg fixed Russell Wilson, why does DeMeco choose the Houston job? Like, if Russell Wilson is back to being an attractive quarterback, why choose the Houston job? The only reason you choose the Houston job is because you have a high draft pick that and a relative blank slate. It's going, I would prefer this blank slate and the second best rookie quarterback, because it's the number 2 overall pick. I'll take this blank slate and the second best rookie quarterback in a fairly mid quarterback class over the richest ownership in football and Russell Wilson. Like that is a declaration. That is a statement. I think more about Russell Wilson than about ownership.
That's interesting. I think that's another conversation for later if we don't have an answer by Friday. Samuel Castro over on YouTube. We need a coach that can bring in big free agency guys and make the Denver Broncos a destination. Are you saying they're not a destination already? Could that actually be why there is such a holdup here and a backlog of candidates willing to take the Denver Broncos coaching job? I hate it. I think that we have lots to talk about this week, gentlemen, as we continue to talk Broncos. But I do want to change a little course of action here. We'll have a mailbag episode on Wednesday. So if you have questions for us the rest of this week, I want you to go send them over on Twitter. I want you to drop them in the chat right now. And I want you to join the Discord and get them in over there. But we have some very special news that Zach would like to announce today, because today it is official. Zach, please take it away as the new head contributor of the Colorado Buffaloes beat. Zachary Seegers, take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to be leading this beat for Mile High Sports, kind of building it up for them. I made this graphic, of course.
Yeah.
I'm looking back, I'm watching this coaching chaos, and I'm happy to have my coach sorted and have it be Deion Sanders and have all sorts of, I have my quarterback sorted and have it be Shador Sanders. It's a great time up in Boulder. The Broncos might be a little miserable again this year. So if you need some fun football in the state of Colorado, you want to have some fun with the game, come find me because I'm going to have you covered there. And I will also say this, I think Let's Talk Broncos will be getting another new spinoff to join Let's Talk Draft as a part of this. So excited for that. I don't know. Lots of good stuff coming with this. I'm very excited. I had my first Colorado Buffaloes article post today, and it'll have basketball, lacrosse, soccer, all your Buffalo sports will be covered by me. But I had my first football piece drop today looking at this past weekend, which might prove to be the biggest recruiting weekend in Colorado Buffaloes history. So please go check that one out. milehighsports.com should be right at the top of the page. Let Cal talk would be great.
That's a great name of a podcast. But Zach, I need to clear something up. And big congratulations to Zach. Zach is doing massive things over there. He's going to make that his baby. I know that's going to blow up. There's not a more exciting thing than Colorado Buffaloes here in this state right now. There really isn't. Football-wise, like what? It's always good news with the Colorado Buffaloes recently. Like it's been amazing. So definitely Zach is going to do a terrific job over there. Like everything he did with the Broncos, he's going to do with the Buffs. And it's going to be amazing. So make sure you're checking all that out. But Zach, I have to clear one thing up real quick. You are not leaving the Let's Talk Broncos podcast, correct?
No.
Everything is staying the same.
Everything's staying the same. Of course. Yes, that's right. Announcement time. Nothing's changing with Let's Talk Broncos. Everything will be the same. There again might
had to
be
make sure with the so long suckers.
Yeah, the so long suckers is a little lagging, but yeah, I am not out. I will still have to deal with plenty of Broncos misery with the rest of you. So yeah, that's going nowhere. Let's Talk Broncos will stay untouched.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Oh, is it time? Is it time? I think it's time.
I mean,
thank you. It's about time.
I would be fine talking, but like there was an echo and I couldn't figure it out, so I didn't want to keep going.
I don't know why it echoed.
Joey's question of the day.
Joey's question of the day, everybody. Joey's question of the day. We're doing another player one where I'm going to give you 2 players this time, and then I'll go to a third if you guys need it. Get the number correct. What number did these players wear? Kevin Vickerson. I don't know if you guys remember him. He's a player that is very fond in my heart. I remember him in the Shanahan days when I first started really getting into football.
Zach's typing. Like Zach has his hands on the keyboard.
Is a little curious. Zach, look at the camera. Look at the camera. It's a little Kevin Vickerson, Jarrell Casey. What number did they wear?
I'll let Bree go for. I was honestly responding to Cal in the comments about how Green Knight seems like a great movie to celebrate the good news with. Yeah, Bree, you go first because I feel I know that I'm between 2 here.
Is it between 1 and 20?
No, defensive.
Then I'm out.
I'm either on 90 or 99. Because I know Jarrell Casey was 99 with the Titans. And I'm trying to think if he stuck with 99 when he came here or if he changed up to 90. I think he stuck with 99. And I think Vickerson was a big guy that wore 99.
If you have the questions or the chats open, you can see that the chat agrees with you now. I had to close it out, so I couldn't see. Frankie says 99. Ty Walden says 99. Paul says 99. And Cal's in with a 66 just to be a little bit different. Or he's standing on his head. Joey, what's the answer?
99 is correct. 99 is definitely correct. Yes. The next one was going to be Adam Gotsis, who also was number 99. So that was going to be the next one. I think that would have been the giveaway, the most recent. Really.
Gotsis making good plays on a Jaguars defensive line now. Good for him.
Yes.
Good for him.
That's it.
All right, Zach's got to get out of here. Zach, where can everybody find your stuff?
At Zach_Seegers and milehighsports.com. Lots of Buff stuff coming. Offense today, defense tomorrow. Fun football, Colorado. Let's go. See y'all. Bye.
Bye. Oh, Joey, where can everybody find your stuff?
Well, first, I'd like to start off by saying it's damn time we have this podcast to ourselves.
Well, look at us.
I
Now
mean,
we can
it's
just
been a
talk
long time.
about the Broncos
I mean,
as a podcast.
we
And we'll,
don't have to go or do the Russell Wilson cut thing anymore. Like,
no, I was never on board with that. I figured that it was really safe to just keep the quarterback you invested so much money in because I didn't like the cap hit or the volatility. So now that Zach is gone, I think that we can say that the Let's Talk Broncos crew, we never subscribed to that crazy business.
I mean, it's like finally we've escaped.
Like that man was running a militant regime with us at the helm, keeping us hostage, folks. And I hope that you know that. Just kidding. I'm obviously just
Zach will be
kidding.
back on the podcast. We're just messing around. But yes, everyone follow me at JR Drafts. Check all my writing at Mile High Sports. I'm writing my edge piece, and then I have another piece coming right after that. My edge piece is almost done. I think it should be done tonight. I'm gonna finish it tonight. So make sure you're gonna keep an eye out for that. I think it's gonna be interesting because like I think a lot of the pass rush production came from Evero, and who knows if Evero is back? And I kind of write about that in there. Yeah, so check that out, Bree. You had an amazing show 1 to 2 today, but how tell us about your show? How'd it go?
Today's show on the Fan Cave?
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, it was great. I think it was an amazing show. We got through a lot of the conference championship Sunday review. We jumped into a lot of Buffs football and basketball because I want to make sure there are more eyes on the Lady Buffs as they go through the last 8 games of their season. So we don't only talk football over on the Fan Cave. We talk about it all. Even got a little bit of wrestling promo in there as well. It's been a really fun week to talk about sports, and I'm more than happy to do it right here on Mile High Sports. You can find me over on Twitter, BreeMaces303. Catch a couple of my previous appearances from last week. Had a ton of fun over there. If you like 3 hours of radio and hearing my voice, then I've got just the opportunity for you. And then you can catch the Let's Talk Broncos crew Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Don't forget to watch Joey and Frankie on Thursday. Joey, which positional group are you breaking down?
Safeties. Although I think this next episode we might be doing Senior Bowl. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to DM Frankie right after this. We were also talking about some other big news right before this podcast. So keep an eye out. We will be announcing that very shortly. But yes. And also, you mentioned the Lady Buffs. Deion Sanders' daughter is now part of the CU Buffs basketball team as well. So yes, important.
Making waves. It's a fun time to be a part of the University of Colorado, which I am so proudly to admit now. I hope you all have a fantastic evening, and we will see you again on Wednesday. Good night.